Today we're going to be figuring out which mouse is the wildest. And it's not this one. I'm gonna rank every coaster and give them my review. Every drop and every hill, every launch and every loop. Rate it 1 to 10 and then we'll do it all again. Gonna rank and review every coaster. What's going on, everybody? My name is Mario. This is a channel all about amusement park type stuff, but mostly coasters. And today in my never-ending journey to rank and review every single coaster I have ever been on, we're going to be talking about wild mouse coasters. In general, I do enjoy a good wild mouse. Their fast-paced, unbanked turns provide the illusion that you'll fly off the track and the sensation of throwing you side to side. Combined with several sporadic sudden drops, they provide a wonderfully out-of-control ride experience. An exciting ride with a low height requirement makes a fun coaster for all that is well worthy of being copied and pasted to theme parks all over the world. However, the lone downside to all wild mouse coasters is the low capacity that leads to deceptively long wait times. But without any further ado, let's review. Starting off at the very bottom, we have Fiesta Express at Austin's Park and Pizza. Or just Austin's Park, or just Austin's. They kind of changed the sign a lot, so who knows what they're really called. Anyway, I did it. I found the most underwhelming coaster out there. Fiesta Express is a Zamperla Minnie Mouse, which they really missed the opportunity to call this a mild mouse. The ride experience consists of an overwhelmingly long ride cycle, navigating around incredibly slow-paced turns, tiny dips of literal inches in height, providing absolutely no forces until the very last turn, which gently slides your body to the side of your seat. And I know it sounds like I'm bashing this coaster, but I actually think it is perfect. It's meant to be a mild-mannered kiddie coaster, and it definitely hits that mark. However, this coaster did recently close down at its current location, but it has had 3 homes prior, including a 4-year stay at Legoland, Florida, so I would not be surprised to see it pop up at another park in the future. Overall, I give Fiesta Express a 1 out of 10, and it ranks at number 229 out of the 241 coasters I've been on. It's just not for me, and that's perfectly fine. Next up is Coast Rider at Knott's Berry Farm. This is the first of many coasters on this list manufactured by Mach, with this being a large park version of their Wild Mouse model. This is basically just a less compact version of your typical Wild Mouse coaster that starts with a large drop instead of going straight into a series of turns. I do like the openness of this particular model, but with Coast Rider specifically, there are a few things that make it unenjoyable. You have very tight and not super soft shin restraints that for most adult riders are going to push into your shins and be quite uncomfortable. And in addition to that, I feel like the brakes on this coaster hit pretty hard, so you don't take the turns of the ride at a particularly high speed. On the positive side, however, I do think the Coast Rider name is a cute play on Ghost Rider in the same park, and I do think this coaster is good for younger riders who likely won't be affected by the negatives that I just mentioned. Coast Rider gets a 3 out of 10 and ranks at number 198. Next up, we have Psycho Mouse at California's Great America. This one definitely gets points for uniqueness, as it is one of only 3 Mad Mouse coasters manufactured by Aerodynamics currently operating. But while it is unique, it is also relatively tame. The turns on the top layer of the ride provide moderate lateral G-forces, and the brakes engage a lot less than on Coast Rider. Once you make it to the lower level, however, the turns are banked, kind of defeating the purpose of a wild mouse. I also find the drops to be very tame, providing little to no sensation. But I do definitely appreciate this wonky section at the end for its uniqueness. I'd give it a rating of about 3.5 out of 10, and it ranks at number 195. Oh, and if you watch my video predicting where California's Great America's coasters are going to go once that park closes down, you know that this coaster is 100% going to Michigan's Adventure. Next up, we have Toboggan Nordique. Toboggan Nordique? Toboggan Nordique? That sounds inappropriate. We have this one at Ronde. This is a zigzag coaster manufactured by Zamperla, but I don't know who they're kidding. It's obviously just a wild mouse. And to be completely honest with y'all, I don't really remember this ride. I guess it's like a 4 out of 10, and it ranks at number 186, because that's kind of just middle of the pack for the Wild Mouse coasters that I've been on. It definitely looks like the last couple of turns are jarring and uncomfortable, but again, I don't remember that being the case. I mean, who knows? Maybe I don't remember because the ride gave me a concussion, but I remember pretty much every other ride that I rode at Ronde, so who's to say? A coaster that I do remember, however, is Technic Coaster at Legoland, California. Simply put, this is a better version of Coast Rider. It's the same model, but it definitely feels faster, providing more exciting lateral G-forces on the turns. I also think the Lego-themed cars look really fun, and they have the major plus of not having shin restraints. That all earns it a 4 out of 10 and ranks it at 185. Next is a coaster that I am very fond of, as it was the first Wild Mouse I had ever been on, Goofy's Sky School at Disney's California Adventure. This coaster used to be called Mulholland Madness, and was themed to driving like a maniac on Mulholland Drive in California. Now, my nostalgia bias definitely preferred this theme, although upon watching this POV, I realized it definitely looked cheap and lazy. I still love it though. Its current theming definitely feels more Disney-esque, and this is surely one of the best themed Wild Mouse coasters out there. This is another one manufactured by Mach, and it technically has a custom layout, but it's essentially just Mach's compact design. This layout delivers the quintessential classic Wild Mouse experience. Goofy Sky School in particular can be a little shaky compared to others though, and the brakes do tend to engage a bit more as well. A huge positive to this specific coaster is the continuous loading station, where the trains constantly move unless they absolutely have to stop. This helps out with capacity a little bit, which is nice. Goofy is a dog, and his mouse gets a 5 out of 10 from me, and ranks at 176. Ricochet at Carowinds is the most recent Wild Mouse added to my collection, and it's noticeably more enjoyable than most. It is a small park Mach Wild Mouse, and its layout is nearly identical to Goofy's Sky School, with an additional hill towards the end. Ricochet is incredibly smooth and barely gets slowed down throughout the ride. There are a few points where the brakes engage pretty heavily, but you are still able to fully enjoy the whippy turns and fun drops to the fullest. It's definitely a bit better than Goofy's Sky School, getting a 5.5 out of 10 and sitting at number 172. Next is my favorite Mach Wild Mouse, Sand Serpent at Busch Gardens, Tampa. If I could describe this ride in one word, it would definitely be unhinged. Sand Serpent does not have a unique layout or appearance or anything like that. If anything, it's the worst looking so far, but the whole ride is amped up by the fact that only one brake engages during your ride. You make it through the entire top level without a single brake engaging, which leads to some of the most wild lateral G-forces out there. This would typically have the potential to be a bit uncomfortable, but I've always found the ride to be relatively smooth. The one mid-course brake that does engage does so about halfway through the ride, so you have plenty of time to pick up your speed again before hitting the final brakes. This is a stupidly fun coaster, and as long as the line is short, I ride it on almost every visit to Busch Gardens, Tampa. A solid 6 out of 10, and it ranks at 171. Last but certainly not least is Crazy Dane Coaster at Scandia Family Fun Center in Sacramento. And I'm not gonna lie, this is a weird one. Crazy Dane was manufactured by E&F Myler, which is a company I love because they make coasters that are just wonky, and Crazy Dane is no exception. While the actual lateral G-forces aren't substantial on the tight turns, the illusion of flying off the track is second to none. With the way the trains seat front row riders well ahead of the chassis of the car, you stick out past the edge of the track before finally turning. This creates a really insane visual and is unique to all other Wild Mouse coasters. The ride is also far from forceless, providing laterals later on in the ride, and even a pop of airtime. Although the scariest part of this ride is arguably the large drops. They are taken on what is glorified kiddie coaster track, which just feels wrong. You truly feel like the track could crumble at any moment, and that's just exciting. Is it not? So this crazy coaster gets a 6 out of 10, and it ranks at number 168. But that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Go ahead and let me know what you guys think of Wild Mouse coasters and what your favorite one is in the comments down below. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more content like this, and make sure to tune in next time where I'll be talking about whatever this wheel lands on.